think outside the box, if you will. I mean, go there, go off campus. Let's think this through. And sure enough, that's where the Mustang was born. When it finally hit, it took the country by storm.
Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. You know, this is the Motor City, and this is the show where we put cars into the context of your everyday life. Today we've got a very important topic for you, as we usually do. We're going to bring this one home to where it really faces the most important thing you have in your life, which is your pocketbook. How things affect your pocketbook affects your family, affects your driving life. And we've got some really incredible news and stories we're going to find out about how the guys working behind the scenes are manipulating the commodities market and making our cars of the future probably more expensive. To help sort all that out, we've got Chris Sawyer. Chris, welcome to
Hi,
Cars
John.
in Context. Hi, man. Hi, thanks for coming back on the show. Chris is the founder and the editor of thevirtualdriver.com, and for all practical purposes, the best automotive blog on all of the internet.
Well, thank you for
You're
that.
welcome. No, but that's why you're here, Chris, because these kinds of stories, you know, we've uncovered the whys and lies of gas prices because gasoline wound up on the commodities market. And we're the only show on television, regular cable access, or any other kind of television show that has exposed the problem why gas prices are the way they are. And today we've got just as important a little story about what's happening to aluminum. And as you know, aluminum's a huge part of car making.
Absolutely.
And it's going to really affect the prices of cars and what we drive in the future. But before we get to that, before we put Chris in the driver's seat, we're going to find out what's happening in the news.
Okay.
All right?
Because I have no idea.
Okay. Well, first off, remember that little commercial you see on TV, Show Me the CARFAX?
Oh, the little fox's mouth doesn't move with the words?
Yeah, how come that guy doesn't
I
talk?
don't understand
Yeah, the
that.
little fox. But the guy's called CARFAX for CARFAX.
Well, because I guess the fax machine wouldn't have worked.
Oh, okay. I was in marketing, but I wasn't sure that worked for me. But anyway, CARFAX is now being sued for $50 million in damages
Okay.
by over 120 dealers. And the reason they're doing that, Chris, is because the guys that say "Show me the CARFAX," you know, that cost those dealers money, about $16.50 a pop every time you walk.
Really?
Yeah, every time you walk. Or you
Why
could,
whoa. The dealer has to pay that money?
Yes, the dealer has to, because
I'd be ticked too.
Well-
So as a consumer, I couldn't go and get that Carfax?
You could, but if you say, I will buy the car, but since you don't have the Carfax, I'm going to go somewhere else. Dealers say, well, for $15, $16.50, all right, stay in your chair, we'll go get the Carfax. They want to pay it because they don't want to lose the customer walking out of his dealership.
How many cars does the dealer sell a month?
I mean, come on.
That's
you
a lot of
you add it
money.
up. I guess you could do a monthly subscription for $1,500 a month if you want. But figure that out. I'm thinking, okay, well, the dealers are mad, they're paying it. No, that's not it. Here's what they're saying. It's antitrust, because they have their own little car resource guide, and it's not called CARFAX. But because you're driving into their heads, show me the CARFAX, show me the CARFAX, they're saying you have...
So like the brand name.
Yes, and they asked for the brand name. So now they're saying, show me the money, and they want a piece of that action. So they're saying, listen, we're filing a class action lawsuit. It's antitrust. You guys have monopolized the market. So next time you go in and you say that, you could say, show me the history of the car. The problem is, folks, I don't know if you know this, I mean, CARFAX is based on a data system that only about 40 out of the 50 states are part of. So what about the other 10 states? You don't have that information. It's not fallible. It's not a foolproof method. The data from some regions will be missing, so nothing's really foolproof. So show me the CARFAX.
I think I'd only be worried if somebody drove it from Hawaii.
Yeah, then, yeah, like this. Oh, why don't you give us a headline?
Okay. Volvo is adding more safety technology.
Wait, Volvo and safety in the same
Well,
sentence?
remember, for the past few years, Volvo has been going for performance. They've really dialed down the whole safety side of things.
What was that old movie where the Volvo was safe but
boxy, but they're safe.
But safe, yeah.
Crazy people.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
The Volvos, what are they doing now?
Well, they're saying that they're going to have the XC90. The new XC90 will be the first one to come with pedestrian detection that works at night.
Pedestrian detection.
That works at night.
You don't know where there's a pedestrian, so the car has to tell you? You can't see the pedestrian?
Sometimes you can't. It's
Okay.
really terrible. Really hard on the paint job when you hit them. They go flying over, and
This
it's
is terrible.
oh yeah.
This is
And it
terrible.
also another cut that out. Another feature will automatically guide the car back onto the road if the sensors detect it's going to drive off the pavement.
So wait a minute. So you're
So
driving.
we call that drunk assist.
You're falling asleep, and you're going off the road, and the car, it will nudge the car back onto the road?
Yep. And that it also includes adaptive cruise control with steer assist.
Now, you've talked about this before.
I've driven this, yeah.
You've driven, okay.
Which basically means the car will take care of the steering and braking while automatically following the car in front of you. And if he goes for the exit, you don't necessarily go for the exit.
That's right. It's based on the car in front of you.
Yeah, it is, but also based on where you're going.
So you're not paying attention while the cruise control's on, and the guy's stopping, and you're not stopping, so it'll put the brake on.
It's pretty cool. It's great when you're in a traffic jam because it'll go from what they call from stop to start.
Why is Volvo doing this?
Because we're idiots behind the wheels. We're sitting there on our smartphones.
Can't we just drive, people?
No, we're too busy playing with our iPhones. And that they're going to add a feature that automatically detects and brakes for animals both during the day and at night.
So you don't need the I brake for animals bumper sticker.
No,
Finally.
absolutely.
Another one fewer bumper
The
sticker.
goal is to make sure that no one is killed or seriously injured in one of its cars by the end of the decade.
No one is killed or injured in a Volvo.
Yeah,
These guys have really taken safety off the hook.
but it's possible.
Folks, please just.
It is possible.
Do you need Volvo doing this? Why don't you just drive your car? Just drive.
Pay
That's
attention.
I got one for you.
Okay.
Toyota.
I know that because it says right here you have one.
I do have one here.
Okay.
Toyota is claiming research leadership. And this is why this is on Cars and
In what?
Context. Well, on everything. They've been very busy promoting themselves, that saying that their research and development is leading the submissions to the U.S. Patent Office. More U.S. patents are coming, and the Trademark Office are coming to Toyota from Toyota engineers than any other automaker last year. 30% more than in 2012. So now I might note that GM at one time, and it still has more patent activity for electric cars and for fuel cell technology. Honda's really active in fuel cell. They've had that FV cell for a long time.
Hyundai's coming up real
Hyundai's
fast.
got them.
Yep.
Folks, this is a flag waving for Toyota. It's the wrong flag, unfortunately. The problem is that this is a cyclical business. If you're involved heavily in leading a technology, you're going to have all the patents.
Well, it also depends on how you want to cut it, too. If you want to go all the way back to the start of the industry, you could say Mercedes is the most innovative in the world because they've got more patents than anybody.
I mean, that's just it. Here's what if you got all the money, like Toyota has all the money, with the yen and owning the market for so many years, we've exported billions of dollars to Toyota because you decided you didn't want to keep the money in America. So they're like Oprah. They're like Oprah. They have all the money, not Cars and Context, Oprah. So
they can buy those purses
So
that are
so they're engineers. They say, here, go figure out, like, make your car fly, and that's okay. We'll take a patent out on this, and it's the what if scenario that they can afford to do it. Why can they do it? Because they can afford it. You know, GM and Chrysler are busy building cars, and Ford's paying off their debts. So, folks, the idea is that what the insiders are saying, they're just doing this for Washington, D.C. to show them that we're innovative.
Well, it certainly would help with that unintended acceleration problem they got right now.
Yeah, who trusts those guys in D.C. anyway? Why don't you give us one, Chris?
Okay, there's a lot of media attention that's being paid to the EU Commission and their warnings that to Germany.
The EU, is it like our EPA?
No.
No.
European Union.
Oh, the European Union.
Sort of like, their federal government.
Of
Brussels,
all of
Belgium.
Europe.
Yeah.
You better do this or else.
That's why.
What are they mad about now?
Well, they're saying they're telling Germany that faces possible penalties for not taking action against Daimler, otherwise known as Mercedes-Benz, who refuses to remove the banned R123A refrigerant from its cars. That's what we have now in our cars.
So it's not Freon.
Nope. Which was
the new
R12.
stuff that's safer.
That was supposed to be safer, yeah.
So that now they're banning the new stuff over there?
Well, everybody's replacing it. We're going to R1234YF.
Tell me that.
And the YF stands for you're foolish.
Yeah.
But
why are we banning the new stuff?
because it supposedly has less ozone depleting qualities.
Crying out loud. So the Germans.
The Germans are still selling cars with R123A, which has been legal up to this point, no problem.
Okay.
And France is saying, oh, all your new cars have to have it. And Mercedes is saying, no, all of our new cars, not just the new model years, but the ones that are truly new and replacing something else.
So why is Germany sticking to their guns on this?
Because everybody wants to, Honeywell has a lock on R1234YF.
Okay.
That sounds like dialing a telephone number.
Yeah.
And they're saying that in their crash test that it will start on fire and it will emit toxic hydrogen fluorine gas.
Well, the engineers are telling the union that, listen, guys.
Except there's a problem with that.
What's the problem?
No one else has been able to make it do that. And Daimler is running CO2 as their refrigerant,
Oh, okay.
which we're trying to somehow get rid of for
Wait a minute.
anyway.
Yeah, we want to get rid of
Anyway,
CO2.
the CO2 unfortunately runs under very high pressures. We're talking 5,000 psi.
Off the hook.
You don't want
don't want
that
that in
in
your
the
car.
passenger compartment.
We don't
so
want the-
now they're saying, well, we'll have a secondary system that runs inside the passenger compartment.
Please.
At 2,000 psi, like that wouldn't do damage.
No.
And the 5,000 will be under the hood.
Folks,
And then you know why it is? Guess.
I have no idea.
Daimler has the lock on CO2 technology.
There you go. Well, this is what happens when you get your friendly governments involved in building cars, and
Just
car makers are
leave it alone.
stay out of our knickers. Okay,
Yes.
well, listen, I got
Okay, maybe, yeah.
Wiederhosen.
Yeah,
Okay.
oh, whatever.
All right. I've got something. Here's a heads up. Just came up. Garmin. Remember Garmin? Garmin Numi? They do the nav systems.
Yeah.
All right, and they have all these competitors, TomTom, and all these other. Well, guess what? Nobody has nav systems anymore. These your little
Smartphone,
they have them on your phone.
Yep.
If they're not in your car, they're on your phone. So you're not buying the little thing that's hanging off your dashboard.
As long as
anymore.
you're not using the original Apple Maps,
Well,
which
that's
is
which
really
wind up
bad.
put you out in the middle of a lake. But there's nothing wrong. We have Lake St. Clair. It's a really nice lake. The problem is, folks, what are they going to do? They had this technology. That, the only thing that they were doing after a while was replacing the ones that were stolen because people left them hanging on the windshields. So now they're coming out with a new idea. Here's the new idea. They want to do a new device, and they're going to take turn arrows, so that it's flashing, I'm turning, so you know your blinker's on for 5 miles in the left lane. Distance to the next turn, they're going to flash that up, and current speed and the speed limit, as well as that great estimated time of arrival. I love that. And they're going to project it like an HUD onto the windshield, a heads-up display. They're going to have a little, it's called like a little reflector. You stick it, it runs off your Bluetooth phone.
Oh,
You buy an app. Yeah, and you can either put this little transparent film on your dash and reflect it on there, or you can actually put it on your windshield, and with a reflector lens. It's about $130. So if you want to read all the stuff that you liked from your old nav device, and you can run it off your smartphone, don't need to have a nav device in your car. You can, instead of having on that little screen that used to warn you of all kinds of crazy things like, road closed and toll roads and all that, you can now just for $130. Plus, I guess it's like $30 a month for an additional app, that you have. Now you have it all on your smartphone, folks.
That makes a certain amount of sense.
Ain't technology grand? It's just amazing. But speaking of technology, we're going to find out things that really make technology not work, like guys on Wall Street and the guys that run the commodities market. So we're going to talk to Chris about, we're going to try to can all those commodities bums. These guys who are stealing your money right after this. Hi, and welcome back to Cars in Context. I'm your host, John Clor. Today we have with us Christopher Sawyer. Chris runs thevirtualdriver.com, the most informative automotive blog on the internet. Chris, thanks for joining us here on Cars in Context. We've got a great show. We're going to talk to you about what's going on behind the scenes in not only the automotive industry, but in the commodities market. And folks, why is this important to you? Well, do you ever buy a can of pop or soda if you're from another part of the world? Well, yeah, I know you buy
Give me
your
a pop.
cars. Well, this is a really important thing that's happening. We talked to you on Cars in Context before about how the commodities market has destroyed our ability to price gasoline correctly.
Yeah, when we were growing up, remember you would see gas go up and it would stay there for a while, and it would change on a pretty much on a weekly or monthly basis, depending on what happened. Now it's changing daily.
Yeah.
And that's because of what's happening in the spot market, the commodity market, and how people are holding onto they're holding onto pieces of paper that say that they own this gasoline,
Right.
which really doesn't exist,
doesn't-
and
they
they don't own it.
It's in the ground already.
It's in the, well, yeah.
It's underneath the gas station.
Absolutely.
Yesterday it was $4 a gallon. Now
So
it's $4.15.
Yeah, they hold these warrants that say that they own this, and they don't actually. And they don't have to put more than 10% of their money up, or 10% of the value of that
Right.
warrant up
That's
to
the problem.
control 100%. And that's where the problem runs in, because you can really leverage an awful lot of a commodity that way. And now they've moved into the aluminum side of things.
This is the worst news we could possibly have.
And we're at the center of it
we're
in Detroit.
And this is we're going to shine the light on this one for you folks. It's bad enough that these guys who trade gasoline on commodities market are driving up the price of gas. I mean, it's imperative that we have inexpensive fuel to live our lives. I mean, this is how we get to work. It's how we play. It's how it drives our economy. And by taking money out and putting it in their pockets, which is essentially what we're doing, it has nothing to do with the cost of getting oil out of the ground and refining it into gasoline and bringing it to you. It's not the reality. The reality is these commodities traders are profiting from moving the commodities around, and that's half that money is going to them. It has nothing to do with gasoline. Well, now it's happening in the aluminum market. Now, why is it important in aluminum? Now, we've talked about, I know you had a viewer mail on Cars in Context about aluminum versus steel, how we're going to make these new EPA mandates. What scrap aluminum is just junk, and we're recycling aluminum at an incredible rate. It's a very valuable metal when it comes to the auto industry. Now, we know aluminum as cans. I mean, Coca-Cola and the big bottlers and canners, they're really concerned about this because of the vast majority of their product is served through aluminum cans.
Right.
So they and aluminum foil makers, I mean, those are huge products that we use every day. But the other biggest user of aluminum is the automakers. And you told
and it's
me,
going to get even higher.
Yeah, you told me that to meet these mandates, we're going to have go to lighter weight.
We're going to have to, in the short term at least, as this is rolling forward, the new mandates that are for 54.5 miles per gallon by 2025 or whatever it is, 2020.
Well,
I
gosh,
get
it's
confused.
15, working up to a graduated standard all the way to 2025. And by 30, it could be even crazier. 80 miles per gallon.
It's nuts, absolutely. Well, in the EU, they want to raise it to 104 miles per gallon, but that's
Lost
insane.
their mind.
Let's just pull a number out of the air.
Well, you know, we do have the 100 mile per hour or 100 mile per gallon carburetor that we're hiding.
Oh yes, absolutely.
We've had that since
I've
the
had that
70s.
in my car for years.
We don't want people
works
to have
wonderfully.
that. Yeah.
And it works with E15 ethanol. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that you have very few things that you can do to get better fuel economy, and one of them is to lighten the car up.
Smaller, lighter vehicle.
And you're going to see it this year next year actually at the North American International Auto Show, which we otherwise call the Detroit Show.
Right.
And that's when Ford's going to launch the next pickup truck, which is going to be a lot of aluminum in that thing. And they are taking the battle to everybody on this thing. They're going to have a lightweight truck that is still as strong as everything else out there, probably stronger in some ways, and they're going to have better fuel economy. And they're ahead of the curve, and they have to get ahead of the curve because you have certain alloys that will work in automotive. And you have to build up a recycling infrastructure for it. You can't just take cans and put them into this. It's not like steel where everything goes back in and then you alloy it in how you cook it.
Right.
You have to actually put alloys in it.
Back in it.
And so you have to create that. And until you've started this loop going, you can't get enough recycle back in. So you're going to be using fresh,
pure
brand
aluminum.
new, and that's going to be the cost. But what these guys are doing, what the commodity traders are doing, they saw a loophole in the law they helped write, and basically what it said was that they could put a fee, a charge, every time that the aluminum ingot was moved from one warehouse to another, or from the boat to the warehouse, or from the warehouse to the final.
So the only the time you can charge an upcharge is when it's stored or transferred. Then you get an upcharge, and they figure, well, that's safe. How could you make money doing just because it's stored or transferred from one place to the next?
You and I could figure that out, John, and we're not the two brightest guys in the world. And you know how
Wait
you
a
do
second.
that, folks? You go and get yourself a bunch of warehouses, and you fill them full of aluminum ingots. And you have empty warehouses next to them. And so you say, this is owned by this set of investors, and that's owned by that set of investors, and that's owned by that set of investors,
pick
and you
it
just
up
keep moving them
and
from
move it.
one to another.
All right.
And there are warehouses in this town
In Detroit.
where all they're doing is moving things from one into another 8 hours a day.
Now, why
and charging you and me.
So why is this happening, folks? Here's the scam that these guys that figured this law out said, what's the next thing the automakers are going to need? Aluminum. Okay, let's try to get on the commodities market, make this loophole in the law. Let's exploit this loophole. Buy up these warehouses in Detroit are cheap. The square footage is cheap. On the outside, you won't even know what's in there. They're owned by this investor to that. They can then do their upcharge because I'm storing and transferring from. It could be just across the street, Chris.
Yeah.
Just to
And it's
move it
changing
back and
hands.
forth and back and forth.
It is legally changing hands.
Yeah, so and every time that transfer happens, they get to upcharge. So the price of aluminum is skyrocketing, and there's nothing that the auto companies or anybody else can do about it because it's a way for these commodities traders to fleece the general public.
Exactly. And I can't remember what the other commodity they're trying to do this in is right off the top of my head. No. But the funny part about it was the government agreed with them when they said, you know what, if we take some of this commodity off the market, we'll actually lower the price.
What?
Really? How does that work? If I have less of something, doesn't the price go up?
That's supply and demand.
The best and the brightest are not in our government.
Yeah, I'm telling you, folks, this is a real issue. Now, forget the fact that it could just, even if you don't care about an aluminum car, you drive a 10-year-old or 11-year-old car like most of us, most Americans.
Price of
on
your
the road.
soft drinks are going up.
That's right. So that's true. That's where
Price of your foodstuffs are going up.
anything that's packaged in aluminum foil, cans and
Your
bottles.
computers.
Anything,
Everything.
everything
Your
you're
smartphone.
using. Your smartphone's made out of the good. That's why you've seen Apple come up with a cheap plastic one now.
Yep.
Folks, they have tried to take this model that they've used successfully in driving the price of gasoline up, and Wall Street, these bankers, these commodity traders have got their nose into the aluminum business, and now really our auto companies and us as the consumers. Chris.
Exactly. It's legal? Is it moral? No.
So eventually what we're saying is if we can shine a light on, I know that on the inside of the industry right now, some of the reporters are starting to see this is coming to light. We're bringing it to light here on Cars in Context to you so that you can write your congressman, get involved, make sure this doesn't happen to us.
Absolutely.
It's a bad thing. Chris, we're going to have to follow this story and keep exposing the guys that are the scam artists out there who are trying to make driving and owning cars and a bottle of Coke or a can of Coke
Absolutely.
a wonderful thing to have.
Don't want to do this.
We'll follow the story for you on Cars in Context, folks. But you know what? Thanks a lot, Chris,
You're welcome,
for bringing us
John.
to light. We appreciate that. But now it's time for one of our favorite features on the show. It's called Pride in My Ride. Now, if you have pride in your ride, all you have to do is send me a picture as a JPEG of your car and why you have pride in it, and we'll put it on the air to show the rest of the world and the Cars in Context world. And today we've got a really great story about a guy named Joe Arante. Joe Arante is an 80-year-old that lives in Dearborn, Michigan. He loves Cars in Context because he thinks we're a lot of fun and we're informative. I think so too. But we think he's cool because he owns a 1965 Mustang that he purchased brand new.
No.
Yes, in 1964. Here I am at a car show. This was up in Novi on Pennington Avenue. And I met Joe. He's in the Mustang Owners Club of Southeast Michigan. Joe's got that Mustang. If you look at the grill on the top of the Mustang, you see all these awards and badges on his car. This car, Joe and his wife have been showing ever since 1965. So for 49 years, he's been taking his Mustang around, and he's got so much pride in this ride. He takes it everywhere. He still drives it today.
And is that the GT pack?
He's got the GT package. It's got the pony interior. It's really optioned out well. He has
that.
This car is all original, not been repainted, not been restored. He drives it just about everywhere. If you go to any Mustang show in southeastern Michigan, you're likely to see Joe Arante and his 1965 Mustang. Mustang's coming up to its 50th anniversary. We hope Joe will be around for that and showing us with his car. We want Joe to come out every day and bring that car out. Thank you, Joe, for sending that in to Cars in Context. You too can join us on Pride in My Ride just by sending it to me. Another cool one. But you know what? There's another part of our show that we like, and I just hope that there's some way that someone out there in TV land sent us some viewer mail. Let's ask Lauren Parrott. Lauren, is it possible that someone has sent us Cars in Context viewer mail?
Yes.
Oh, like,
It's so much so that she dropped it.
She's so excited.
Excited.
We do have viewer mail. Thank you, Lauren. We appreciate it. We got viewer mail. Thank you for sending it in. Thank Lauren Parrott for bringing it on. How about this? Chris, we got 2 letters. I'm going to let you start with the first one.
Okay, this one comes to us from Marie G. in Royal Oak, who watches Cars in Context on AT&T Uverse Channel 99, just as I do.
AT&T Uverse.
She said, Dear Chris, I had read someplace that Tesla CEO Elon Musk can't stand traffic jams, so he... Neither can I.
Yeah.
So he donated 50 grand to help pay for widening the 405 freeway in LA.
Yeah.
But a relative who lives out there told me that the 405 widening project is already a year behind schedule, $100 million over budget, and is causing horrific traffic jams.
Wait a minute. How would you could tell if
Is there a surprise there?
How could you
Really?
tell if there was a horrific
Let's see,
traffic
we're
jam in
dealing
LA?
with governments and unions and never mind.
Okay.
So is that what you hear we can look forward to when the MDOT decides to go ahead with its plan to widen I-94 between I-96 and Connor?
Uh-oh.
Yes and no. I think, quite honestly, MDOT has got a pretty good plan going forward. And, Governor Snyder has been talking about this, that what they do is they're going to shut it down. Yes, they're going to have, you're going to have to be off of 94 if possible, or they're going to shift it all to one side for possibly part of it.
Okay.
But what they really want to do is they want to sit there and do what happened after the earthquake, and that is in California, and say, look, here's a performance bond here.
Okay.
You say you can do it in this time. If you can do it in this time, you get that many millions of dollars. If you could do it in this much less time, you get that much more, and so on and so on.
Okay.
And there are quality standards to hit all the while. So it could work out pretty good considering the massive amount you're going to do.
Well,
there.
here's my concerns, because I-94 was finished in 56, 57. It was the last of the freeways that went in, the major freeways. It went up to, I remember as a kid seeing it ending up there at Vernier Road, and when it went in after 9 Mile. That freeway has never been replaced.
No. And
Unlike most of
it's so far behind the times.
And they've retopped it so many times. I guess the base pavement is so bad it needs to be replaced. And this is a chance to widen it, folks. If you go downtown from the east side, you know what a mess 94 is. It's really our biggest east-west thoroughfare. And from Connor to 96, that would really clear up a lot of traffic.
Yes.
This is the once-in-a-lifetime chance to get this road fixed and done right. I'm praying for it. I just don't want to drive on it when it's happening. Because I work on the west side, but oh well. All right, I've got one too. This one comes to us from Judy B. in Grosse Pointe Farms, who watches Cars in Context on Comcast Cable, Channel 915. Judy sends us a note saying, John, you might think most of your viewers are male because your show is all about cars. But I wanted you to know that as a stay-at-home mother of 2 sons,
Never met Cindy.
I also find the show interesting. Thank you, Judy.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to do more shows on teenage drivers and share any insights you and your guests can offer on driver safety. Chris, we will do that.
Absolutely.
Judy will bring that show to you. Also, please share this funny photo that I have sent you. I'm sure you don't have to be a mother to think this is fun. Now, Judy sent, here's a, Chris, wait a minute, Chris. That's a smart car on the right. What is that on? That's
shopping. It's one of those shopping carts that you put the kids in the front.
Oh, you push the kid.
Yeah.
Are you my mother?
I really like the
Judy.
shopping carts because that way you can get the kids going up at high speed and hit things.
Judy, I like that photo. I don't know where you found it or if you took it, but if I think that is probably not. It could be. Look at the wheels are actually kind of similar.
Yeah, it is.
They do have the same shape. That's kind of scary.
Actually,
for all you smart car owners out there, bring your kid to the next shopping experience and get them the experience on how to do it. Thank you, Judy, for sending that in. Thank you for watching Cars in Context. If you have a question you'd like us to air on Cars in Context, send it to me, J. Clor at carsincontext.com, and we'll be sure to put it on the air. Chris Sawyer, thank you for coming.
You're welcome, John.
We'll be reading you on the virtualdriver.com. Again, we got to have you back again for another show. And folks, thank you for tuning in. Remember that knowledge is power. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'm your host, John Clor.